Relax, you're with us. Cruise Holidays of Viera.
Pull up a deck chair and sit back, relax. It's time for your favorite cruise hour. You're on board, just cruising. Whether you're dreaming of your first cruise or planning your next one, join Larry Jackson as he explores the magical world of cruising. To launch today's cruise, here's Larry Jackson.
Good morning. Aloha e como mai. Welcome aboard. I'm Larry Jackson, owner of Cruise Holidays of Viera, and I'll be your cruise director for this week's edition of our radio magazine that's all about the magical world of travel and cruising and all kinds of fun things, and we're glad you could join us. Before we get started, I wanted to tell you we are experimenting with another way to bring you Just Cruising each week, and that's via a YouTube channel so that you can actually see us on live, or not live, but you can see us doing the radio show. And what we'd like for you to do, if you'd like to see the radio show instead of just listening to it, if you'll go to our webpage, viera.cruiseholidays.com, scroll down until you see big red letters that say subscribe, and click that, and that's going to take you to a YouTube channel. And there's another button there that also says subscribe, and if you'll hit that, it'll ask you for your YouTube sign-on, which you can create at that point. And then that's going to take you to a page, and then if you click up at the top and it says videos, that will show you the replays of Just Cruising and the video. And we are asking that you help us by subscribing to our channel, which will get us, that's going to help us to be able to broadcast more of our shows on YouTube. So if you wouldn't mind going and subscribing, you might enjoy watching the show as well as listening to it. So now we have multiple ways for you to get Just Cruising. You can get it on your radio dial, 1240 or 1350. You can get it via iHeartRadio, which is a wonderful app which allows you to hear our show anywhere you are in the world as long as you've got Wi-Fi or internet connections. You can go to our website page at viera.cruiseholidays.com, and the podcasts are there, so you can go back and listen to a show that either you missed or you didn't catch everything or you got interrupted. And what did he say about that? And then you can go back. So those are all the different ways that we're bringing you Just Cruising. And thank you all so much for listening, and thank you also for referring your friends, family to our show and to Cruise Holidays of Viera. It means a lot to us, and you guys are very, very special. We really appreciate all the comments and referrals. It's the best compliments you can give us, and thank you so much for doing that. Well, let's get started with the news of the week that came across the old computer monitor this week. Real quick, another brief update on the situation in the Caribbean with our ports as a result of the two hurricanes we had down there. This article came from the Florida Caribbean Cruise Association. They had a meeting last week. A lady named Michelle Page, I think, is their spokesperson. It says, despite a month of bad headlines for the region and its cruise industry, most of the Caribbean was left unaffected by Hurricanes Maria and Irma and is open and ready to welcome cruise ships. This lady, Michelle Page, says the degree of public perception that the entire region has been affected by the storm could not be further from the truth. And I think that's an important thing. We're getting a concept that the whole place is devastated and there's nothing worth going to see. She goes on to say over 90% of all Caribbean destinations will be welcoming cruise guests in coming weeks. This is what's very important. During a single season, cruising has generated as much as $2.4 billion for the Caribbean, with a single cruise call producing about $500,000 in economic impact. So for these folks down on those islands that have come to rely on cruising, it's very important to them, and that's why we're trying to help get out the word that cruising in the Caribbean is alive and well. It's not going to see a bunch of desolate islands with no leaves and people standing around wondering where their next meal's coming from. That's just not what's going on down there. Just to recap some of our larger ports of call, or our most impacted ports of call, start with San Juan. The old town of San Juan is completely fine, including the city's 475-year-old fortress, El Morro. San Juan's port, which did suffer some damage from the hurricane, is now back and running. Royal Caribbean has already turned around 2 sailings there in the last 2 weekends. The real problem in Puerto Rico, as we're seeing on the news, is a large portion of the island is still without electricity. And the roads are still largely impassable, so most of the excursions are going to be located in the center of town in Old Town, which is a wonderful place to go. They have some of the most beautiful doors. Their doorways in San Juan are incredible. It's a real neat place just to stroll around and go back through all the old cobblestone streets of Old San Juan, Puerto Rico. There's several very nice casinos right there at the pier also. So, again, San Juan is up and running and ready for cruise tours. I don't think it's going to be that much for resorts for a while. St. Martin, another port that was very severely damaged in the hurricanes. St. Martin shore excursions expect to be mostly operational by the end of November, and the ports in St. Martin to be fully operational by November 11th, as we told you last week's show. Cuba, everything's operating great in Cuba. Everything's per normal, despite what you read about the travel bans and things like that. In fact, we have a new cruise line that is operated by a fellow you might remember his name, Bruce Nierenberg, who brought you the Big Red Boat here at Port Canaveral, has a new cruise line called the Victory Cruise Lines. They're doing a very unique Cuba cruise. It goes out of Miami, but this is a 13 to 15 night cruise. It's a circumnavigation cruise of Cuba. It's a luxury, all-inclusive cruise line. They're going to begin sailing in March of 2018, and they're going to spend 2 days in almost every Cuban port of call. So that's the reason 13 and 15 days. I believe it's 5 ports of call, and they're going to spend 2 days in each one of them. They're overnighting in each one of them. So it really gives you a chance to experience. Yeah, the article says it's designed to bring you authentic Cuba. This cruise features 5 UNESCO sites included in the Victory's immersive, all-inclusive shore excursion. So everything for this cruise, it's like a Sea Dream or a Crystal. Everything is included in the price. The cruises feature cultural and historical experts on board to tell the real story of life in Cuba. I wonder how much they're able to talk the real life story of Cuba with the Cuban government. Well, anyway, we'll see. It's fascinating history and its position as the largest Caribbean nation. The full fares start at $6,995 per person with double occupancy. And Victory One departs Miami on their 13-night offerings March 24th and April 7th. Their 15-night sailings will be going out March 9th and April 20th of 2018. This is an interesting cruise. The 2018 winter season ends with an 11-day Cuba and colonial America repositioning cruise. It begins May 5th with a short flight from Miami to Havana, and they include the airfare, an overnight stay at Havana. Victory One will then reposition with an 11-day voyage from Portland to Ontario to Toronto. Let's see, they're going from Portland, Maine to Toronto to Ontario, and there they're going to do a summer cruise on the Great Lakes between Toronto and Chicago. Very interesting. Victory Cruise Lines. It's a fairly new, it's sort of an old cruise line that Bruce Nierenberg is revitalizing with a new ship and adding these long Cuban itineraries into their cruise line, and then taking the ships up to the Great Lakes in the summertime to cruise up in the Great Lakes. So if you're interested in something a little bit different along those lines, please give us a call at Cruise Holidays of Viera, 321-242-1331. We have an agreement with Victory Cruise Lines along with 28 other cruise lines, and we'll be happy to make your dream vacation come true. And that's true whether it's on land or sea or vacation rentals. We do all of that for you. So we're your one-stop vacation planning store, Cruise Holidays of Viera. Band is here. That's telling us we've come to a port of call and a very brief timeout. You stay right where you're at. We're going ashore, and we'll be right back.
This is Just Cruisin' on 1240 and 1350 WMMV. Here's Larry.
Hey, we're back. Thanks for being with us this Saturday morning. George just informed me that you can watch this show on Facebook if you'd like, while you're listening right here, or turn us off and watch it on Facebook. Anyway, it's there. The Facebook page is Cruise Holidays of Viera, and the video of us recording our show is up there now. Listen, I got to tell you guys, I am really excited. Linda and I booked a cruise for ourselves this week. Now, you say, Larry, you and Linda have been on over 110 cruises, and you've cruised a lot. What makes you excited about a cruise? Let me tell you what makes me excited. I have a bucket list, just like you guys do, like everybody else does. I have a bucket list. One of the things on my bucket list is to go to all 7 continents of the world. Now, I've been to 6 of them, either through my Air Force career or the travels Linda and I have been doing. And by the way, Linda's my lovely and gracious wife and the co-owner of Cruise Holidays of Viera. But this week, we got invited to, and the only continent I have not been to is Antarctica. So I wanted to get my 7th continent in, and I've been wanting to go to Antarctica for just about as long as we've been in business, 14 years now. And this week, we were invited to escort a cruise for our consortium. We belong to a consortium called Travel Leaders, and they have a very unique offering that we do just exclusively for our clients on certain sailings, on certain cruise lines. We offer something called the Distinctive Voyages package. And what this is that it has a host on board from one of the Travel Leaders travel agencies. And I think we have about 5,000 travel agencies throughout the world. It features a cocktail party for the folks who booked through Travel Leaders. This only happens for people that are booked through Travel Leaders. And it features a very exclusive shore excursion. It's not just you get a free shore excursion. It is a shore excursion that has been handcrafted and designed to be a very unique, upscale, very different shore excursion from what the ship is offering. So we got invited to host a cruise that's going to go to Antarctica on January 21st of 2018. It's going to be aboard Celebrity's Infinity, sailing out of Buenos Aires. So we're going to fly out of Orlando down to Buenos Aires, and it's a 14-day cruise. We're going to go to Ushuaia, Argentina. We're going to the Cape Horn. We're going to sail around the Cape Horn and then spend a day and a half sailing around Antarctica. Now, we won't be able to set foot on Antarctica because this ship is not an expedition ship. It doesn't have zodiacs and things like that. But we're going to get to see all the really neat sights of Antarctica. We're also going to go to the Falkland Islands, and we're going to Puerto Madryn in Argentina and Montevideo, Uruguay, and then back to Buenos Aires. So we don't have a group for this, but we thought we'd let you know that we're going to be on board and escorting it if you'd like to join us. It's a 14-day cruise, January 21st of 2018, aboard Celebrity Infinity. Also, right now, they are offering, if you book a balcony cabin, now the price for a balcony cabin for 2 people is $10,536. Again, it's a 14-day cruise to Antarctica. That will include the classic beverage package that Celebrity offers and a $300 per cabin onboard credit. So if you'd like to join us for our cruise to Antarctica, we'd love to have you go with us. We already have a couple of folks signed up to, great listeners of ours, and Richard and Cynthia are going to go with us. And so we'd like for you to go too. Give us a call at Cruise Holidays of Viera, 321-242-1331. And say, we'd like to join you in Antarctica because it's going to be really fun. I tell you, I am so excited. I can't wait to do this. All right, back to the news of what was going on in the world of travel this week. Okay. Conde Naste is a Conde Nast, C-O-N-D-E-N-A-S-T, is a very upscale travel magazine. And it every year they do a poll of their readers to select what's going on in the world of travel. So they ask, okay, what's the best hotel you went to? What's the best airline you went to or flew with? And, what island did you like? And what was the best? So they do this survey of all of their readers every year. And it's been going on for many, many years. Now, it is very upscale. And the folks that that read this magazine and travel or high-end travelers. And people are always amazed when every year, and this has been going on for, I believe, 3 years now, when I tell them what these readers vote as the number one large cruise line, and they define large cruise line as any ship over, I believe it's 1,700 passengers. And they are always amazed when I tell them who the number one cruise line that these readers of Conde Naste magazine pick as the best large cruise line in the world. And who do you think it is? Do you think it's Celebrity or Holland America or Princess or any of those guys? No, it's Disney Cruise Lines. So, we here at Port Canaveral think of Disney, we think of kids, we think of, it's really, that's nice. They got characters, but it is a very elegant cruise line. And the service, the amenities, the way the ships are, everything about Disney is magnificent, and the shows. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. Conde Nast, number one cruise line for large ships is Disney Cruise Lines. All right. Delta made a very interesting announcement this week, and I hope this is a trend that's going to continue with airfare. What they're going to do is, if you have an iOS phone, i.e. an iPhone, that uses the iOS software, and right now we're on version 11, I believe, and if you have updated your phone for 11, when you will automatically be checked in by Delta for your flight. So no longer will you get an email. Remember, we can only check in for flights 24 hours in advance, not 1 minute before. So now Delta is automatically going to check you in as long as you don't as long as you don't have checked baggage or you don't need a change of seats. Then they're going to check you in and forward you a boarding pass right to your iPhone. And then when you get to the airport, you just go to the gate and you show them your phone and you board the airplane. So what they said is, we've eliminated the check-in process. Your boarding pass will automatically appear 24 hours before your flight. Hopefully we'll get this going so that they'll be able to handle checked baggage also. But this goes along with the announcement we told you last week about Royal Caribbean's new boarding procedures they're going to try with their new ship, the Symphony of the Seas, where they're going to use facial recognition, biometrics, and things like that, so that you'll be able to walk right onto the cruise ship just using your iPad or your iPhone. So hopefully this is going to be a great innovation coming along for travel, where we won't have to worry about lugging around paper, making sure we check in for things, making sure we did this, remembering that. It'll all happen automatically right there on our phone. So let's hope that happens. Well, you're on board Just Cruising, whether you're watching us on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. A reminder, you can subscribe to us on YouTube by going to our website, viera.cruiseholidays.com. Scroll down there and it'll say subscribe. All of this is brought to you by Cruise Holidays of Viera, and we are your boutique vacation planning store in the Suntree area, located at the corner of Wickham Road and Suntree Boulevard. That's the short little road that goes between US 1 and Wickham. We're available Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. Our phone number is 321-242-1331. And we make vacation planning fun. It's not a chore with us. It's fun because we do the research for you. We find out what your druthers are, and then we fix you up with the right vacation partner. That is the cruise line, the airline, the hotel, whatever it is that your heart's desire or what you would like to do for your vacation. We'll make that happen for you at Cruise Holidays of Viera. Our slogan is relax, you're with us, and so that way you don't have to worry about all the details. Let us worry about that, and then you just go out there and have a great time. I just talked to a couple that got back this week from it was a 14-day trip we planned for them from Munich through Prague. It involved trains, rental cars, hotels, tours, going to see a Mozart concert in Vienna, Austria, and we did all of that planning for them and made it all happen. And all they did was get on the airplane and go. So those are the kinds of, and boy, did I have a good time doing it. I love to do things like that because it brings into all of the experiences that Linda and I have had traveling. We can bring those to you. We spent a lot of money to do this, and we do that so that we know what's going on with the cruise lines, and then we can bring that experience home to you, and that experience helps make your trip a great one too. So give us a try at Cruise Holidays of Viera. You can call us at 321-242-1331. If you'd like to learn more about us, our webpage is just packed full of information, and it's viera.cruiseholidays.com. And also, you can subscribe to our app there on the page, plus the podcast. Boy, there's just a ton of things to do on our webpage. You'll have fun just scrolling around there and looking around at all the things that we have to offer for you. Information about the cruise lines, passports, everything. Well, the band is here. We're at another timeout. We're going to run ashore. We invite you to come back, and we'll talk some more about the news of the week with the world of cruising. So please join us.
Good to have you with us on Just Cruisin'. Contact Larry on his website at viera.cruiseholidays.com.
That's right, and it's a great website. You'll love it. Well, this last Thursday night, we had another meeting of our travel club that's known as the Distinctive Travels Group. And you can learn about it if you'll just go to the website, distinctivetravelsgroup.com. And it's we had a gathering of about, a little over 40 folks. And we had a presentation. This is the way we do our meetings. We start at 5:30 and we have cocktails. And if we have often our travel partner will provide the cocktail, will pay for the cocktails for us. And we have cocktails from 5:30 to 6. And we hear a presentation from our travel partner, which on Thursday night was Silver Sea Expedition. And that's part of Silver Sea Cruise Lines. And we had a fantastic presentation by the fellow who's in charge of marketing for their expeditions, which are these are their 4 ships that go to places like Antarctica, the Pole, North Pole, Galapagos. And we had a fascinating presentation. And then after his presentation, we ate dinner and had some announcements about our club, and then everybody was on their way by about, I think 7:30 or so. But anyway, the reason I bring this up is we are seeking new members for our Distinctive Travels group. And if you would like to join us or get more information about it, just go to the website, distinctivetravelsgroup.com. And it'll tell you what we do there. And it's basically a bunch of like-minded folks that like to travel, that like to get together and discuss travel, and who like to travel together. So we offer group travel opportunities for our group. We have some amenities that are available to you as a member of the group. We have a $25 annual membership fee. And we asked, and you pay for your own dinner. So there's no free lunches. There never are. But if you'd like to learn about the Distinctive Travels Group, just please go there and you can sign up, and we'll let you know when we're going to have our next event, which we're in the planning stages of right now. All right. Hey, here, let's go back to what was going on and some articles I found this week that I thought were interesting. We have here on Just Cruising over the last few years, we have told you about a fellow whose nickname is Super Mario. His real name is Mario Salcedo. And the reason they call him Super Mario is he just spent his 7,000th day on a cruise. And he has now taken over 1,000 cruises. And this is over a 20-year period. And every year during that 20 years, he has spent all but 2 weeks a year at sea. So he spends 50 weeks a year at sea, or 350-something days each year he spends at sea. The article says Mario always dreamed of traveling the world and owning his own business. Me too. Oh, anyway, 20 years ago, he quit his job and took his first cruise. He was immediately hooked on cruising and spent the majority of the next 3 years taking cruises on different cruise lines. Since ship hopping wasn't the best quality of life, and since he was looking for more stability, Mario decided to travel only on Royal Caribbean and stay on the same ship for longer periods of time. Which, this kind of takes to me kind of the allure out of cruising. He books 2 years ahead of time, which allows him to keep the same cabin for months at a time so that to keep unpacking and packing to a minimum. He always books an inside cabin to save money and estimates that he spends $65,000 a year on cruises to the Caribbean and transatlantic sailings. I don't know. Spending my whole life in an inside cabin, I'm not sure I want to do that on the same ship. But anyway, that's Mario's gig. He is a member of the Pinnacle Club, their highest loyalty program for Royal Caribbean. Yeah, I guess he is. He receives free unlimited internet access. This allows him to work from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. each day as an investment manager in his office on the pool deck. So what he does is he sets up a laptop. That might tell you something about investment advisors, how little work is involved in that. But anyway, Salcedo is currently living, quote unquote, on the Enchantment of the Seas, which is sailing round-trip cruises to the Bahamas and Key West from Miami, Florida. So it's not quite the luxurious life you think it is, going to those two places every week, twice a week. Anyway, Mario says he is planning on cruising as long as he is healthy and having fun. So that's Super Mario, 7,000 days on a cruise. And I think Royal Caribbean gave him a bottle of wine for that. Spared no expense, but that made a big production out of it. By the way, if you'd like to spend your life at sea on one ship, we can take care of that for you at Cruise Holidays of Viera. So just give us a call, 321-242-1331. Say, Larry, Linda, I'd like to spend the rest of my life on a cruise ship, and we'll take care of that for you. Royal Caribbean announced this week that for the next year of 2018, they have canceled all cruise stops in Turkey. According to them, quote, due to the current unpredictability of Turkey and taking our guests and crew members' safety and well-being into account, they have decided to replace calls in Ephesus or Kusadasi with alternative ports of call in the 2018 Europe season. The Jewel of the Seas will now call on Rhodes, Greece. The Vision of the Seas will now call on Rhodes, Greece, and Mykonos, Greece. Now, that's kind of a big disappointment because Ephesus is one of the great tourist spots of the Mediterranean, and it's kind of disappointing that we're not able to go there. But Royal Caribbean is not the only cruise line. I think pretty much everybody else has canceled. I don't know of any cruise lines that are going to Turkey, at least so far for 2018. Well, we have been telling you here on Just Cruising, we've been urging you to book your Alaskan cruise. And to be very forthright, if you are planning to go to Alaska next year, we are urging you to call us at Cruise Holidays of Viera, make an appointment, come down and sit down with us for about a half an hour, 45 minutes, so we can go over all the nuances of an Alaska cruise. And we're asking you to do this because Alaska is going to be hot next year. Now, our season goes from the middle of May to the middle of September. And I'm urging you to go ahead because a lot of folks want to take a cruise. There's some pin-up demand out there for cruising. Some folks are a little bit turned off about going to the Caribbean, I think unnecessarily. Some folks don't want to go to Europe because they're worried about security issues. Again, I think unnecessarily. So Alaska is the destination of choice. That means that the earlier you book, the better the pricing is going to be. And I'll give you a great example. A couple came in to see me the third week of September. We sat down. I gave them all the details about the cruise. They said, we'll think about it. They came back on Thursday this week. and booked the cruise, but the cruise had gone up $319 for the cabin. So that's what we're seeing. And the longer you delay, the more it's going to go up. It's not going to go any place. It's not going to go down. There are no last minute deals in Alaska. One of the concerns we have about Alaska is that we do a combination of 7 days aboard a cruise ship and between 4 and 7 days in hotels and traveling around on land. Well, we don't have as many hotel rooms as we have cabins on the ship. So the cabins on the ship are going to become less and less available for those cruise tours. Again, all of this is to urge you not to procrastinate, but to start planning your Alaska cruise right now. And you can do, it's a very simple process. I can't be easier. All I have to do is pick up the phone and dial 321-242-1331. If you get our answer machine, that's fine. It's Saturday morning. And just leave a message and say, hey, I want to come in and talk about an Alaska cruise. That's all you have to do. And then from there, we take care of the rest. We sit down and we look at what your budget is. We look at what your likes and dislikes are. And we find the cruise line that matches those things. And we listen to you. We're not going to try to cram some cruise down your throat that you don't want to take or spend too much money. Alaska cruises are expensive, so you might as well be prepared for that. But we're not going to push something on you. All we're going to do is inform you and let you make your ultimate decision and then go and have a wonderful time in Alaska. And we're going to do all of this for no more money than you're going to be charged if you do all that research, spend all those hours on the internet, and then call and book it directly with the cruise lines. Because we charge exactly the same prices that you're going to see on the internet when you go to see those cruise lines. It's called the level playing field, and the cruise lines have a vested interest for keeping us in business. And so you can take advantage of that because you get a tremendous amount of service at no additional cost. And that's 321-242-1331. Go to our webpage, Viera.cruiseholidays.com. One more quick reminder I wanted to tell you about. We represent all the major river cruise lines all over the world, whether Africa, Asia, Europe. And one of our favorites is AMA Waterways. And we have an exclusive offer going on now because of being a member of the Travel Leaders Consortium. Cruise Holidays is a member of that consortium. We are offering a $300 per cabin onboard credit for certain sailings aboard AMA Waterways. And these are our sailings in Europe. And there are all kinds of, we've got just about everything. We've got the Paris to Normandy cruise, the Romantic Danube, the Enchanting Rhine, all of the different cruises that the popular ones. And for a limited time, we are offering a $300 onboard credit per stateroom. Now, that's something you can only get by booking through Cruise Holidays of Viera. You can't get that anyplace else. And I do want to remind you that AMA Waterways is waiving their single supplement. So for folks who are traveling by themselves, this keeps you from having to pay 200% for your cabin. This is a very good opportunity for those of you who travel by yourselves. Well, here's the band at our last port of call and our last shore excursion. So please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back, and we'll talk some more about Alaska. A few tips about Alaska coming up. So please join us.
Coming back into port, it's Just Cruising on 1240 and 1350 WMMB.
Well, if you're watching this on Facebook or our YouTube channel, you'll see me decked out in my Ren Spooner Aloha shirt. And that's in honor of Hawaii Boutique Escapes, which is a subsidiary of Cruise Holidays of Viera. And we are your Hawaii vacation planning experts. We're designated that by the Hawaii Visitors and Convention Bureau because we've taken tests to prove that we have expert knowledge of Hawaii. We live there for over 25 years, and we visit there once a year. What does that mean to you? That means that when you're ready to go to Hawaii, you call Cruise Holidays of Viera at 321-242-1331, and we will make your Hawaiian dreams come true. And it is a magical place. And because we love it so much and we live there so long, and we still have our grandchildren live there, and we have lots of family in Hawaii, and because we love it so much, we want to make sure that you experience it in the very best way, and you come home with that same love, or as we say in Hawaii, that spirit of aloha that we have. And so we work very hard to make that happen. Right now I'm planning for 2 couples that are going to be going to Hawaii. We're doing a 10-day cruise tour planning for them that includes their hotel in Waikiki. It's going to be soup to nuts. They're going to be picked up at the airport, and that's the last thing they have to worry about. They don't even have to worry about that, and everything will be done for them, staying at the beautiful Moana Surfrider Hotel. We will be getting them out to the old Lahaina Luau, one of the very best luau in all of the Hawaiian Islands. They're going to take a 7-day cruise on the Pride of America around the Hawaiian Islands. We're going to get them a tour of Iolani Palace. Everything's going to be done for them, and they're going to have a magnificent time. So if you would like to experience that also, we invite you to join us and call us at Cruise Holidays of Viera, 321-242-1331. Reminder, please go to our website, viera.cruiseholidays.com. Scroll down until you find the big red letters that say subscribe. Click it, and then go to the YouTube, our new YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. We really need listeners, and it'll be a way that you can watch our show, and you can see us there on the big screen instead of on the little radio. So please help us out with that. We appreciate it. All right, we were talking about Alaska in the last segment. I ran across a little article here. It says 19 things to know before your Alaska cruise. Now, I'm not going to go over all 19 of them because some of them were kind of silly. The first one I think is really important, and that's pick your time, pick the dates that you want to go to Alaska. Now, the season, as I said, runs from the middle of May, around the 15th of May, through about the week after Labor Day. And the peak part of that season and the most expensive part of the Alaska season is June and July. It's less expensive in May and less expensive from about the second week in August through the second week in September, and a lot of reasons for that. Mainly the kids are out of school during that period, so the airfares are more expensive, the cruise fares are more expensive, and Alaska is very much a family destination. Another reason to consider now, let's say you can pick any time during that whole time. So a few considerations. Again, less expensive if we go in May, but it's usually a little bit chillier in May because the last few years Alaska's been having very cold winters. And we even, year before last, couldn't get into one of our fjords. One of the things we do on our Alaska cruises is the ship goes into one of the glaciers, fjords that was created by the glacier, and spends between 4 and 6 hours in the fjord looking up at the face of the glacier as close as they can get. And one of our glaciers, Tracy Arm Fjord, was actually frozen over and we couldn't get in. So that's a consideration for May. A consideration for going in August is usually the salmon spawning is in full spawn at that time. We were in Alaska this last year in July, and the salmon hadn't really started running yet, even in late July. So that's been moving back a little bit later every year, and that's probably because of the colder. Alaska also had its coldest summer this last year that they've had in like 50 years. I know global warming is occurring, but it seems to have passed by Alaska. Anyway, so those are considerations. Another consideration about going in August and September is that you have a better chance of seeing the northern lights. Now, the further north you go, the more chance you're going to have to see the northern lights. So if you're just taking the 7-day cruise and you're disembarking and you're coming back to Seattle, or you're disembarking in Anchorage or Seward, which is their port, you're going to have less of a chance. But if you're going and continuing the cruise tour up into the Fairbanks area, there'll be a better chance of seeing the northern lights. And again, it's still very iffy. If you want to see the northern lights, you really need to go up to the Arctic Circle, go to Iceland or Greenland or Norway. So just some things to consider when you're looking at the timing on your Alaska vacation. Most of the time, your Alaska vacation is going to be determined by your ability to get off work and things like that. I love this one. It says, bald eagles are like Alaskan pigeons. Half of the world's 70,000 bald eagles live in Alaska. So it's you do see a lot of eagles. Now, we see a lot of eagles in Florida, too. I have to tell you a story. When we were in Alaska in July, we took a river rafting trip down the Mendenhall River, which is at the Mendenhall Glacier, which is in Juneau. And so we're rafting down, and so the guide says, "Oh, eagle," and he points them out, and everybody, "Oh, where," and sees the eagle. Okay, and we go about another 4 or 5 minutes. "Oh, eagle," and he points out the eagle. Pretty soon we're driving down. Everybody goes, "Okay, great, eagle," whoopee. And pretty soon we're going down the river, and the eagles are actually like sitting on branches on the side of the river. I mean, they're just like posters or billboards sitting there, and so the eagle really lost its kind of fascination towards the end of our little cruise of about hour and a half. So you do see a lot of eagles in Alaska. I agree with this one. It says Glacier Bay will blow your mind. Either Glacier Bay, College Fjord, Glacier Tracy Arm Fjord, any of those. This fellow in his article says you'll spend hours watching a real-life screensaver outside, and that's what it's like when we go up to the face of the glaciers. The face of the glacier is about 400 to 600 feet high, and when you cruise in, it's very, very quiet. And they kill the engines, and then they drift, and you can hear the ice creaking and moaning. And then when one piece of ice lets go, you hear this crash like thunder. And if you look up, then you see the ice fall, and then the thunder arrives. It's an awesome experience cruising right up against, you're not right up, but you're about 4 or 5 miles away, but you feel like you're right at the face of that glacier. What an awesome experience it is. I tell you what, folks, if you haven't been to Alaska, please call us and go. It really is the trip of a lifetime, as well as Hawaii. We got all kinds of trips of a lifetime, so give us a call at Cruise Holidays of Viera. Sadly, we've come to the end of another episode of Just Cruising. Thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate you listening or watching. And we'll be back next Saturday morning, 9 a.m. on 1240, 1350. Until we see you again, keep on cruising.